Okay, good morning, YouTubers. We're back at it this morning. I want to give you an update and show you that basically I had to take it all apart again after I did my last update, take the spring back down. And the reason for that is because the spring wasn't sitting correctly, which I figured out afterwards. And if you look underneath here, you'll see there's two holes that it has to line up in. That's where the bottom half of it goes. It has to line up in there, but what I also realized was that there's a rubber band on the top of this that it seats on, and I couldn't get the two to stay in line, you know, for me to put them together right and not lose my mind trying to put it back together. So what I did was took some electric tape, I lined up the rubber part on the top of it, and just taped it on place, and it worked fine. And then, as you can see here, since you last seen it, I did the bushings over there, the outer bushing on the sway bar that we talked about right there. That's in. It was easy. There's no big deal. It just slides it on. And here's the outer bushings right here. Again, a little bit of adjustment time. It took me while I was putting it back and forth together to figure out to put that bolt in at the same time. So that was kind of it. But it looks nice. It's all red. While I did it, while I have this apart, and again, I encourage you to do the same thing. There's the new brake line. The other one was pretty frayed, pretty bad shape, so it's out. While I got it apart, I'm giving it a little added boost. Took the caliper out, and I went ahead and I just painted it and give it a nice little sporty look, just like the bushings on the outside. So that'll be done. I've done this with other vehicles. It's just plain old Rust-Oleum. Walmart, $5 a bottle. But I wanted to show you the trick that I found that actually made the difference. And oh, one last thing, I wanted to show you this. So I'm glad I decided to take these off, these old ones, and replace them. Even though they didn't look like they needed to, there's the evidence. There's the problem. You can see after 28 years, 39 years, the wear and tear was there, and this was going to come apart someday and really cause me to have real problems. The other bushing, as we talked about, there it is. And as I told you from the get-go, it's that easy. It's got a cut in it. You just slide this one out, put the other one on. Again, you can see it's got its wear and tear. And the same thing with the outer bushing. The same thing here. They're due. They're done. And it was time. So it was a good choice to do all at one time, saving the extra time. As far as the spring, so let me show you the problem I found, and that I figured out after putting them back together was the alignment of this. Okay, so there's the bottom one, the bottom end of it there, the top there with the paint. Now the issue was partially my fault for not understanding how this goes together. The other problem is you have a variety of any type of tool, which is also this tensioner, this spring compressor. Okay, you look over here, this is how it comes. This, again, like I said, it came from O'Reilly's, $50 for a rental. As soon as I'm done, I'll return and get my money back free. So save your money, put your money in the rental, and let them do it. What I was doing was I was hanging myself up on this stupid pin, and that's what was driving me crazy. So I took it off. I'm glad I did. And that made a lot of difference as far as taking it off and on the second time. But here's the thing. The spring works on one side. So whichever side you're putting it in, make sure that you're lining it up with that bottom piece, okay? That bottom strap. Because when you're done, what it's doing is it's folding it in an arch like this. It's folding it this way, okay? Because that's the way it's doing. You don't have inside and outside to do it equally, so it's kind of folding it in a U. And when I was struggling with it, I figured out that the way it went in there is the way it needed a seat first from this end on the bottom, and the other one with the taped out piece on the top of this that I put on there is just made all the difference in the world. So this time when I'm doing it, I'm making sure now that I have those pins out of it, that I'm also going to line it up like so, okay? And when I say like so, it's kind of hard to do it with this in the camera. But these are the pearls that I like to share with people to make it easier when you're doing a custom job. So if you look, I'm going to line it like this with that. And then as it's pulling it into that U, it's going to release it on the same side as that bottom strap going in those two holes. It doesn't matter about the top. The top is going to sit in there on that rubber grommet. This here is where you need to put the time and effort in there and over here, and 2 or 3 rungs up. Okay, 2 or 3 rungs up makes the difference, because then once it decompresses, the spring sits on that spring compressor, and it just binds it, and you have a hell of a time trying to get it out of there. So I'm going to go ahead and put it together and hopefully show you what it looks like here. See if I can prop this up so you can see what I'm going to do. So this spring compressor happens to be a 3/4 inch nut on the end. So now what I'm going to do is put it on the second and third one here, and the same thing here, so I can get this to come apart easier and not have it binding up sitting on the bottom. Okay, lining it up like so. Okay, so I'm lining it up like so. Okay, so now you can see it's lined up pretty much with that bottom piece. Okay, that's as good as it's going to get. That's all the tension that's going to do. Okay, and you can see it now. There's that arch I was talking about. Okay, when I set it in there now, I'm going to set it with this part sitting in those two holes in the back coming out, and that sitting in there in that little groove there, with the top just sitting up in there like that. But this has got to sit in those two little grooves, because that's where the little indentation is. It isn't a lot, but it's enough. So you can see again, there's a little arch I was telling you about how much it can do. And again, without having those pins in there, made all the difference in the world with me struggling. And now when I put it up in there and I loosen this up, these things are going to slip out, not bind up on the bottom and two, which is as close as you can get. And the same thing with the top up there, which is almost impossible to get out, because you have to basically, once again, take it all the way apart and then slide these two out individually. So that's the big pointer for this job. I'm going to keep going on what I'm doing here, and I'll give you another update later. So I hope that makes sense and what I've said, but there's what it is. I'll leave that in there, and I'll take the other one out and give you another update later. Thanks, bye.